Imagine if your life could change in just a few minutes. Not through some magic trick, but by unlocking the power that's already inside your mind. Today, I'm going to show you how neuroscience can be the key to finally unlocking the purpose you've been searching for. All right, let's dive into this in a way that feels like a chat between friends, something you can really vibe with. So, here's the thing. There's this really interesting idea that's all about purpose. Ever noticed how when you're super obsessed with getting something, it feels like it just slips through your fingers? Or maybe you finally get what you want and it's like, wait, is that it? I thought this would feel way better. That's because our brains are tricky little things. They start pumping out dopamine, that feel-good chemical, before we even get what we're after. So by the time we actually achieve it, our dopamine levels are already dropping, leaving us kind of empty. It's wild, right? Now, what's really cool and where the whole Buddhist philosophy kicks in is the idea of letting go of expectations. Seriously, just chill and let things flow. When you stop obsessing, dopamine does its thing naturally when you actually hit that goal, instead of teasing you beforehand. And you know what? This totally applies to finding your purpose too. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to figure out what you really want, how to map out a plan to get there, and how to structure your journey so that it feels fulfilling. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of what purpose really means, and more importantly, how it's different from ego. Because trust me, getting this distinction right is a game changer for your motivation. Here's the kicker. Having a purpose is about knowing what you want, taking action on it, but also being cool with however things turn out. It's like living in the moment, just soaking up the present, not stressing about the future. That's the real deal. Being fully here, right now. But hey, finding your purpose isn't some straightforward thing. It's not like you wake up one day and bam, there it is. Nah, it's something you craft yourself based on what lights you up and how you can be of service to others. But how do you figure out what's actually helpful to people? By just living your life, being that person we're talking about, and doing your thing every day. Sometimes, the biggest insights come from the most ordinary moments, like a random chat in the sauna or a brief encounter on the bus. Those little moments, that's where you might suddenly realize the real impact of what you're sharing. Purpose isn't about forcing something or chasing after it. It's about being true to who you are, naturally making a difference without even realizing it. And here's a tip. Don't just try to offer value when you're hoping to get something in return. Nah, the real magic happens when you're just being you, practicing that authenticity with people you don't even have a reason to impress. That's when your purpose really starts to shine through. Just remember, desire can be a sneaky little roadblock. It makes you think that you can only achieve something if you really, really want it. But the truth is, we're not in control of everything. Purpose is bigger than just what you want. It's something that goes way beyond the self. As we dive into unlocking your purpose with neuroscience, I've also handpicked 4 incredible books that can further boost your personal development journey. You'll find the recommendations in the video description below. These books have been game changers for me, and I'm sure they'll add immense value to your growth as well. So be sure to check them out after we wrap up here. All right, let's chat about this whole journey of wanting to be a YouTuber. Even back when the idea of being a YouTuber wasn't even really a thing. I mean, in 2015, if you told someone you wanted to be a YouTuber, they might have looked at you like, is that even a real job? And I'm not too keen on the label either, but there was this deep, almost instinctual pull to share what I was learning, to spread the knowledge I was soaking up on YouTube to a bigger crowd. I didn't have it all figured out, but I knew I wanted to make an impact, especially in the health space. I wanted to help others while also healing myself along the way, like we're all on this journey together, growing and healing as one. Funny thing is, that vision ended up coming to life, even though it didn't start out as a concrete plan. So, here's where you come in. I want you to try something similar. Take about 10 to 15 minutes. Just set aside that time to really get into this. Grab a pen, your phone, whatever works for you, and write down exactly what you want. And I'm talking specifics here. Get into that headspace where you're visualizing it. What would your life look like if you had no limits, like infinite resources? What would you do just for the pure joy of it, with zero expectations of anything in return? Imagine you could do anything. How would you spend your days? The point of this exercise is to get super clear on your desires. But here's the twist. After you write it all down, you gotta let it go. Don't cling to those desires and just let them float away and keep living your life. But at the same time, keep that inner fire burning and look for chances to share your unique gifts with the world. Now let's talk about this concept of infinite motivation. It's something that neuroscience backs up, and it's super relevant to Buddhist teachings too. We're wired to feel more motivated when we know our work matters, when we know others need us. Higher emotions, like that sense of universal love and connection, they're way more powerful motivators than just basic desire. When you're out there serving others, remember, true service isn't about being a doormat. It's not about bending over backward to please everyone or getting caught up in that nice person syndrome. Nah, real service is about contributing something meaningful. And when you do that, your brain rewards you. Dopamine kicks in, not just when you hit a goal, but throughout the entire process. And you know what? Serving others without expecting anything in return, it's like a health hack in disguise. There's real science behind it. Doing this kind of work actually lowers those nasty inflammatory cytokines in your body, like interleukin-6, which are linked to neuroinflammation. That means you're less likely to get sick or have your health issues flare up. Plus, it calms down your amygdala, that part of your brain that's always on high alert, causing anxiety. Brain scans even show that the more impactful your service, the more your amygdala chills out. So not only are you helping others, but you're also doing wonders for your own mental and physical health. Cool, right? If you're finding this content valuable, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more insights that can help you on your journey. And hey, if you want to support us in continuing to bring you quality content, consider becoming a member. It really goes a long way in helping us keep the good stuff coming your way. All right, let's take a deep breath and dive back into that exercise, but this time with a different lens, a spiritual one, but not tied to any particular religion. Think of it like this. What if your purpose, your real mission here on Earth, is to be a spiritual guide in your own unique way? Like for me, I saw myself as a kind of digital messenger, popping up in those short vertical videos to cut through all the noise online, especially in a place like the US, where the internet's overflowing with distractions. It felt like my calling, a way to bring something meaningful into a chaotic digital world. So I want you to take another crack at that exercise, where you imagine having unlimited resources, but this time, shift your focus. Think about how you can serve others from a spiritual perspective. Picture it as your sacred mission, something bigger than just personal gain. Maybe it's about spreading kindness, sharing wisdom, or just being that calming presence in someone's storm. Whatever it is, let it be your way of contributing something real and valuable to the world. And listen, there's no rush with this. Take your time. If you did the exercise yesterday, awesome, do it again today. If you just finished it earlier today, come back to it tomorrow. Give yourself 10 to 15 minutes each time to really sink into this mindset. This repetition is key, helping to reinforce these ideas in your brain and ultimately your life. Now let's talk a bit about why this matters on a deeper level, specifically how it ties into reducing inflammation in your mind. We've touched on this before, but all the practices we've been discussing, whether it's regulating your dopamine, serving others, or finding your flow, are super powerful in calming the mind's inflammation. Inside your nervous system, there's this group of cells called glial cells, and they play a big role in keeping everything in check. They help regulate hormones, neurotransmitters, and maintain the stability of your neurons, which is crucial for mental clarity and overall well-being. When you're better at regulating dopamine, the inflammation in your brain drops and your neurons get more stable. The same thing happens when you're serving others from that spiritual place or when you're fully immersed in what you're doing, what we often call the flow state. We'll dive deeper into flow in another video, but for now, Just know that these practices are already working together to bring both your mind and body into a healthier state. Because let's face it, the brain isn't just some separate entity. It's part of your body, and your mind is like a function of your brain. So when you calm the mind, your body follows suit, feeling less inflamed and more at ease. But here's something important to remember. You can't pour from an empty cup. To really serve others, you've got to take care of yourself first. It's like when you're on a plane and they tell you to put on your own oxygen mask before helping anyone else. The best thing you can do for the world is to focus on your own growth and well-being. Especially if you're still figuring out what your purpose is, working on yourself is key. As you take on challenges that are meaningful, your purpose will start to become clearer, and you'll be in a much better place to genuinely help others. As you start to calm the inflammation in your mind, you'll find yourself tapping into deeper levels of consciousness and getting a clearer connection to what's real. Your intentions will become sharper, more aligned, and in tune with the world around you. And trust me, people are going to notice that shift. Here's the thing. If your body's inflamed, your brain's going to feel it too, potentially leading to something called neuroinflammation. This is a big deal in neuroscience, especially when we talk about mental health issues like anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, major depression, and a bunch of other conditions. They all seem to have ties to this kind of brain inflammation. There's this common misconception floating around that the body and mind are two totally separate things. But in reality, they're deeply connected. Think of your body as a temple. When you neglect it, you're disconnecting from nature, and that's where the inflammation starts, both in your brain and mind. This inflammation doesn't just mess with your health, it clouds your intentions and pulls you away from the reality around you. Those glial cells we talked about, they're like the unsung heroes, keeping your brain's inflammation in check, and their role is way too important to overlook. Now, at this point, you're hopefully starting to get a feel for these changes in your body and mind. With your serotonin levels balancing out and inflammation getting under control, you start finding peace right where you are. No more chasing after that next hit of external validation. You're just doing things because you enjoy them, and that's enough. It's a different kind of contentment, one that comes from within. Fortifying the brain. Let's dig into this idea of fortifying the brain. We've compared the brain to a muscle before, right? Think about it like this. When you've got weak muscles or stiff joints, like in your knee, that's when problems crop up. The same goes for your brain. Strengthening the brain is a metaphor, of course. You can't make it bulletproof, just like even the toughest glass isn't completely shatterproof. But what we're really talking about here is boosting both cognitive strength and flexibility. Cognitive strength is all about honing your focus with laser-like precision, getting that mental discipline on point. On the flip side, cognitive flexibility is your ability to be creative, mentally nimble, knowing when to chill out and just let things go. It's this dance between having crystal clear intentions while not being too hung up on how things turn out. It's a real paradox, but super important. This balance between mental strength and flexibility is crucial for taking ideas from the realm of imagination and bringing them into reality. We're going to dive deeper into this in the next module, but for now, just know that cultivating both these aspects, focus and flexibility, helps you navigate life's twists and turns with a mix of resilience and creativity. It's a process that takes practice, a lot of mindfulness, and it leads to a mind that's not just strong, but adaptable, ready to thrive no matter what comes your way. In our next discussion, we'll explore how this balance can be harnessed to turn your abstract ideas into concrete realities, helping you manifest your goals with more clarity and purpose. So get ready to take that next step toward a stronger, more versatile mind. All right, let's dive into this whole idea of how our internal state is basically a mirror for the external world around us. It's like, if you want to be more in tune with reality, you've got to first get your internal world in check. So often we're all about that external focus, constantly hustling, chasing after rewards, ticking off goals. That's where our exteroception comes into play, the part of us that's always looking outward. But sometimes We can get so caught up in this external grind that we forget to check in with what's going on inside. On the flip side, maybe you're someone who spends a lot of time in your head, caught up in your thoughts, and that can lead to feeling anxious or just plain unmotivated. You know, those days when you don't even feel like stepping outside or going after anything, that's where your interoception, the internal focus, might be a little out of whack. So here's the deal. It's all about finding the right balance between these two. If you're too focused on the outside world, take a step back and ask yourself what really drives you. Are you possibly overlooking something deeper, something that truly matters? On the other hand, if you're too wrapped up in your inner world and struggling to get moving, it might be time to re-engage with the pursuit of external rewards. Think of this balance like a dance between dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine gets you fired up, pushing you towards those external goals and achievements, your exteroception. Serotonin, on the other hand, is more about finding peace and contentment in the present moment, appreciating what you already have. That's your interoception at work. When you find the sweet spot between these two, that's when you start syncing up with reality, because your inner state starts to reflect the world outside in a balanced way. The neuroscience of faith. Now let's talk about something really cool, how faith ties into all of this, no matter what your religious background is. When we pray, we're doing more than just talking to some higher power. We're actually working those neural circuits that are all about both being content right now and reaching for what we want in the future. If you break down a typical prayer, it usually has two parts. First, we express gratitude for what we've already got, and second, we ask for what we're hoping to achieve. This combo is seriously powerful and has a legit impact on the brain. Here's what neuroscience tells us. Even spending just 15 minutes a day practicing gratitude can totally change the game. If you're not used to doing it mentally, start small. Jot down 5 things you're grateful for. Over time, this will start to feel more natural, and you'll find yourself doing it in your head without even thinking about it. The key is to really recognize and appreciate the good stuff that's already in your life. Brain scans have shown that dedicating a little bit of time each day to gratitude actually strengthens the areas of your brain tied to social cognition and empathy. And empathy? That's huge when it comes to finding and living your purpose. Why? Because being more empathetic means you're better at understanding where others are coming from, which helps you connect more deeply with reality and makes you better at serving others. When you work on building empathy, it's not just about being nicer to people, it's about deepening your connection to your purpose. This kind of connection helps you feel like you truly belong and that what you're doing matters. It allows you to make a real difference in the lives of those around you. So when you balance your internal and external focus, practice gratitude, and cultivate empathy, you create this harmonious internal state that shines through in your external life. This is how you start to align more closely with your true purpose, creating a life that's both meaningful and fulfilling. I totally get it. Feeling empathy doesn't always come naturally, especially during those formative years when we're trying to figure out who we are. I struggled with this too, particularly in my late teens and early adulthood. It was like there was this wall between me and everyone else, making it tough to really connect and understand what others were going through. This self-centered mindset can create a serious disconnect, not just from other people, but from reality itself. And when you're stuck in that space, it's easy to misuse dopamine, getting lost in thoughts that don't really serve you. So here's a challenge for you, a simple one, but not necessarily easy. I want you to spend 10 to 15 minutes today writing down everything you're grateful for. It could be anything, your family, your friends, even just small things that bring you a sense of joy or peace. Do this every day for a week if you can. This practice of gratitude isn't just a feel-good exercise. It's actually rewiring your brain. Over time, it'll help strengthen those neural circuits related to gratitude, which will naturally enhance your empathy, lower your anxiety, and boost your social cognition. These changes in your brain aren't just about making you feel better. They help you connect more deeply with reality and increase your ability to do something meaningful for both others and yourself. It's like this cycle of positive energy. The more you give, the more you get back, creating a flow of mutual benefit that keeps building on itself. So let's get started. Take those 10 minutes today and really dive into what you're grateful for. Write it down, feel it, and let it sink in. If you can, keep this up for a week and see how it starts to shift your perspective. Let me share a personal story that really drove this home for me. I once had an Instagram account with around 100,000 followers. One day, out of the blue, it got hacked. Man, that week was pure hell. I was in this constant state of panic, not knowing if I'd ever get my account back. Meta, Facebook, didn't respond, and I was completely lost, just spiraling with anxiety. It felt like everything I'd worked so hard for was slipping away. I couldn't sleep, I was furious, and I kept thinking, why is this happening to me? But during that rough patch, I started leaning more into gratitude and spirituality. For me, that meant prayer, but spirituality doesn't have to look the same for everyone. There's a whole field of neuroscience that shows how beneficial spirituality can be, no matter what form it takes. And if you're not into the whole spiritual thing, that's totally cool too. You can still practice gratitude, visualize what you want, talk to the universe, or just have a conversation with yourself. The important thing is finding a way to ground yourself and connect with something bigger, whether that's through spirituality, gratitude, or just a deeper understanding of yourself. Give it a try and see how it feels. You might be surprised at how much of a difference it makes, not just in your mindset, but in how you connect with the world and the people around you. Absolutely, the essence of all these practices, whether it's gratitude, prayer, meditation, or even just moments of self-reflection, is about reconnecting with your inner self and, by extension, the world around you. It's about finding that space of peace and purpose within, especially when life throws those inevitable curveballs your way. The real magic happens when you start to shift your perspective from what's lacking to what's already there in abundance. This shift isn't just a mental exercise, it's a full-on mindset transformation that ripples out into every part of your life. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you're not just improving your own well-being, you're also opening up the door to greater empathy and compassion. You start to see others through a lens of understanding rather than judgment, which makes you not only a kinder person, but also someone who's more effective in whatever you do. And that's powerful. The practice itself, whether you choose to pray, meditate, or keep a gratitude journal, is the key. It's about creating a habit that feeds your mind and spirit, helping you ride out the ups and downs of life with more resilience and a lot more grace. What's cool about this is that it ties into a bigger spiritual truth that's echoed across so many ancient traditions. The idea that the divine or God resides within each of us. It's like you're playing the role of yourself in this life, with all the experiences, challenges, and joys that come with it. This idea that the internal world reflects the external one, and that everything is interconnected, is foundational to manifesting the life you truly desire. Take the Christ archetype, for instance. It's a universal symbol of love and sacrifice for a higher purpose. This archetype isn't just a religious concept. It's about embodying universal values like compassion, service, and the willingness to put something greater than yourself at the forefront. And as we've discussed, this approach to life doesn't just make you feel good spiritually. It's been shown to have tangible health benefits, like reducing inflammation and boosting overall well-being. Finding inspiration in these archetypes, whether from religious stories, mythology, or even modern shows like Vikings or Peaky Blinders, can be really empowering. These narratives often explore the hero's journey, the idea of defying the odds, overcoming the system, and manifesting your desires despite facing massive challenges. They show us that the real heroism is in the struggle, in the journey itself, not just in reaching the destination. So here's something to think about. How can you embody this archetype of sacrifice and service in your own life? How can you align with a greater cause, something that gives your actions deeper meaning? The whole idea of being on the right path can be misleading because life isn't about following a set route with a clear endpoint. It's about embracing the process, the journey itself. The value of what you're doing isn't something you'll find at the end. It's present in every step you take along the way. Ultimately, the most important thing is to create a reality that truly reflects who you are at your core. When you're aligned with your true self and fully engaged in the process without obsessing over the outcome, things start to flow naturally. You're no longer triggering those anxiety-driven survival circuits that often lead to self-sabotage. Instead, you're moving forward with a sense of purpose and authenticity, which, ironically, makes it much more likely that you'll achieve what you want. In short, the journey is the destination, and the more you focus on creating, serving, and manifesting from a place of genuine connection, the more you'll find yourself exactly where you need to be. You're absolutely right. Creating situations where everyone benefits isn't just good karma. It's like tapping into a universal law of reciprocity. When you focus on mutual benefit, serving not just yourself, but the people and environment around you, it's amazing how that energy comes back to you, often in ways you didn't expect. It's this beautiful symbiotic exchange where your contributions ripple out and eventually find their way back to you, often magnified. One thing that's crucial in this journey is recognizing your unfair advantages. These are those unique experiences, challenges, and hardships that you've gone through, things that have shaped you in ways nobody else has experienced. These struggles aren't just setbacks. They're the real gold, the hidden strengths that set you apart. When you've been through tough times and come out the other side, you develop a kind of resilience and anti-fragility that can propel you even further. It's like you're stronger because of those challenges, not despite them. So instead of seeing your struggles as weaknesses, start viewing them as the unique strengths that make you who you are and allow you to contribute something truly special to the world. Now let's talk about putting all of this into action. The plan is simple, but incredibly powerful. For the next month, every day, set aside some time, just 10 to 15 minutes, to do two things. First, express gratitude for 5 things in your life. Really feel it. Don't just go through the motions. And second, clearly articulate what you desire, but always frame it in a way that aims for a greater good, where everyone involved can benefit. This isn't about feeding your ego. It's about the impact you want to make, the positive change you want to see in the world. When you do this consistently, you're training your mind to focus on abundance and service rather than scarcity and self-interest. And here's the key: detach from the outcome. Don't get hung up on how things should turn out. When you focus on creating and serving with an open heart, without obsessing over what you'll get in return, things have a way of aligning naturally. That's when you'll know you're truly on the right path. Not because you're following some predefined route, but because you're fully engaged in the process of creating and contributing in a meaningful way. So make that commitment to yourself. For the next 30 days, dive into this practice of gratitude and clear intention. Watch how it shifts your mindset, how it aligns your actions with your deeper purpose, and how it begins to attract the kind of opportunities and connections that resonate with who you truly are. This is where the real magic happens, where you start to see that the universe has your back, especially when you're acting from a place of genuine service and mutual benefit. As we've explored today, the key to unlocking your purpose lies within your own mind. And by applying the principles of neuroscience, you can truly start living with intention and clarity. If you found value in this video, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, subscribe for more content that dives deep into how you can transform your life, and share this video with someone who might need that extra push to find their purpose too. Thanks for sticking with me until the end, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.